Howdy folks, today we're looking at Ninja Elite #1 from 1987 and Adventure Publications. Return with me once again to the late 80s and the absolute pinnacle of the black and white boom. Well, possibly the moment just after the pinnacle if we're being frank. Our specimen today represents a confluence of a number of fads from the era. Not just the surge in black and white printed pamphlets that followed the success of the Ninja Turtles, but the rise of fantasy publishing as a category that waxed across the era in direct reaction to the initial rise of Dungeons & Dragons as a publishing juggernaut, as well as the dominance of the ninja as an archetype across the entirety of pop culture. Ninja Elite is a spin-off of a book called Adventurers, which according to the American Comics catalog ad on the back, was the hottest new comic book of 1986. A demonstrably false statement that even after 40 years, nevertheless points to the fact that the category was sufficiently strong still by 87 for the book to rate a spin-off. The inside front cover assures us furthermore that the ninjas in these pages are not from Japan, or even Japanese American. No, these ninjas hail from the same fantasy setting as the Adventurers book, a high fantasy land called Anoria, which just happens to also be home to a group of very ninja-like warriors called the Anita Kun. There's actually no small ambition on display here, as the book explains the overall story resembles a cross between Zelazny's Chronicles of Amber, Herbert's Dune, and Graves' I, Claudius. If that's maybe more than you expected when you pulled this issue of Ninja Elite from the bins, we should mention that the real appeal for this issue lies in the art by a man named James Fletcher, who seems to have left a faint impression on the industry despite the interesting work here. After a bit of research, the only thing I've been able to figure is that I don't think this is the same Jim Fletcher who worked for Disney across the middle of the century, but I also don't really know for certain, as that Jim Fletcher also apparently did some work for Eternity Comics in the 80s. The work here looks quite similar to that of Michael Zulli, who had just recently made his mark with the early run of Puma Blues. To be blunt, this comic looks so much nicer than I expected when I plucked it out of the bins. Enough so to make me want to track down the rest of Fletcher's scanty bibliography and see what became of this mysterious but seriously talented draftsman.